This is the Ecovacs GOAT A3000, and GOAT definitely stands for greatest of all time, because this robotic lawnmower is definitely my favorite of all time. This thing is absolutely amazing, and if you're looking for a smart lawnmower, then this is definitely the one that I can highly recommend. But it's not all sunshine and roses. There are definitely a couple cons I do have with this smart lawnmower. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you 5 things that you're going to want to know about this smart lawnmower before you decide to buy it. So without further ado, let's jump in the video. All right, first things first, I do want to let you know Ecovacs did send this out to me for a full honest review, but otherwise I do not allow any types of sponsorships on any of my channels. If you guys are brand new here and love smart home tech as much as I do, want to see the latest and greatest smart home technology, hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, hit that like button because it really helps out their algorithm. It makes me feel good inside. All right, first thing that you need to know is that this smart lawnmower does not use a RTK station. This uses LiDAR and cameras, so you can get this thing up and running into your first zone within 5 minutes. And if you don't know what an RTK station, it's just a fixed point within your yard that communicates with satellites and your network, and they're just annoying and they're a hassle to set up. Plus they tend to lose signal a lot and they just cause issues. With this LiDAR system is definitely a much better way to map out your yard and get things up and running within no time. So that is the big bump that's on the top of the lawnmower, and downside to that is that you need to make sure that stays clear and doesn't get damaged. So just be aware, if you're not going to be using this for a while, definitely cover up with the little protector that it comes with. And now for the second thing that you need to know is when you set this up, like I mentioned, you can have this up and running within 5 minutes. You want to set up the base station or the charging station. You do want to make sure that's on a flat and clear area. You don't want to have anything around it. You can see in my particular case is up onto some mulch. I do have issues with this, so they definitely recommend to have a clear and flat area, and I can highly recommend that you do. But in my particular case, I'm just dealing with the issues where it gets caught up every once in a while. But as you set this up, it does have a auto mapping feature, but understand that auto mapping is only for like areas that are kind of cornered off, meaning that you either have a sidewalk or a driveway or a fence, some way that it can detect a certain zone. If you don't have anything between you and your neighbor, maybe you share a piece of property, you're going to have to stop the auto mapping and take over manually. Now, no matter if you do it through auto or through manually, or a combination of both, it is super easy to set up a zone. You just want to walk the boundary lines and then go ahead and complete that, and you can move to the next zone. You can have a bunch of different zones depending on how big your property is. It is a maximum of 3/4 of an acre. I particularly have a half acre, and it took me maybe 20 minutes total to do my half acre, which I had originally 6 zones, and then it kind of combined 2 of those into 2 other zones automatically. Don't know why. I was okay with that. But then once you create each zone, maybe you have a zone in the front yard, maybe in the backyard, one side of the driveway, and then another zone on the other side of the driveway. It's totally up to you. You can then have pathways, and you can have multiple pathways, which I highly recommend if you're going across a driveway, because if someone's parked in your driveway, you want to have the mower to be able to find another path to the other side. That way it has access to the other side without having to move the cars. In addition, you want to set up no-go zones. So maybe there's a tree in the way or a garden that you don't want to get near. You can easily map out the boundaries around the no-go zone and avoid that area altogether. And now for the third thing that you need to know is that you do want to have decent Wi-Fi outdoors. When you set this up, obviously you're going to connect to it via Bluetooth, but if you want to communicate with your mower when you're inside the house and not near it, unfortunately, you will need outdoor Wi-Fi. So just be aware if it's in extended part of your yard, it might lose Wi-Fi signal, but just make sure when it's near the house that you have a Wi-Fi signal. So if you do want to send this out or communicate with the mower when you're inside or just laying around, you can do so. But if it didn't have good Wi-Fi outdoor, you're definitely going to have a communication issue and you have to go out there and get within Bluetooth distance. Nevertheless, you can always set up a schedule ahead of time, which I highly recommend that you do want to set up a schedule, which leads into the fourth thing that you want to know is that you do want to set up a schedule and mow more often than, say, a normal mower. And this goes true for most smart lawnmowers, is that you're just taking off a little bit each and every time that it mows, rather than like a weekly mowing where you're taking off a lot. This one, you just want to trim every other day, maybe every 3 days, and just have the mower out there doing different zones pretty much every single day. Obviously, as it's mowing so much, the battery's going to die and it's automatically going to go back when it drops below 15% and then go back out when it gets above 85. Now, this particular smart lawnmower, because it uses LiDAR and the camera that's on front, will actually mow into the dark. Now, I do get a message every once in a while that it gets too dark outside and it's going to make its way back to the docking station. And then sometimes it just stayed out there for maybe an hour or two past sunset, which I thought was pretty dark, and it just kept on working. You can see here in my infrared camera, you can actually see the light that it's putting out there, the infrared light that's putting out, and it's able to see with that LiDAR. But I can't tell you why. Sometimes it worked when it was complete dark and sometimes it didn't. Maybe there was enough moonlight. I'm not quite sure. But just know that it will go back on its own when it cannot see enough. Also, each zone you can have custom settings. So if you want to have shorter grass in one area or taller grass, or maybe you want to mow faster in another area and have lower obstacle avoidance, which the obstacle avoidance on here was pretty good. I do run delicate speed, which is 1.31 feet per minute. There's also a quick moving speed, which is 2.3, and then you can adjust the height from 1.2 inches, which is super low, all the way up to 3.5 inches, which I have a tall fescue lawn, which is like bluegrass and tall fescue, which should be cut around like the 3 to 4 inches. But the mowing height, you definitely want, if you have tall fescue or cold season grass, you definitely want to select the high grass environment setting. In addition, if you don't mow every 2 or 3 days in the regular mowing mode, you're probably going to have to run this enhanced mode. That's going to allow it to work with higher grass, I think up to 8 inches. I'm not quite sure the exact, but understand if the grass gets too tall, it's going to see the grass as a obstacle. So you really want to make sure that you're mowing every 2 to 3 days and really keep up with it, especially if you have a cold season tall fescue grass, because once it gets too tall, you're going to have to come up with another solution. But like I said, this only happened on my first mow, but since then, this thing has been awesome. And I can say without a doubt, this is the best smart vacuum I've ever tested to date. This thing is so easy to set up. Absolutely love this. It's so easy to use. There's so many great things about here. Obviously, you have to weigh the cost. You have to weigh the maintenance. Yes, you do have to change those little blades. You can probably do it every 2-3 months or maybe once a season, depending on where you live. You got to clean it, but understand you still have some maintenance and, you know, the general lawnmower care. You still have to go out there and trim. It does get close to the edges, but You're still gonna have to trim, but all in all, this is the best smart lawnmower I've ever tested, and I can unequivocally recommend it to you guys. All right, that's gonna do it for me. I hope this video was helpful. If you guys are brand new here, hit that subscribe button. And if you're just here for information and pricing, there'll be affiliate links down below where you can get that. I truly appreciate using those links, and I will see you guys on the next video.